Hi, welcome to English 215, English Literature 1. Thanks for being here. Now, English 215 takes on really a tremendous length of time. Roughly 1,000 years, really, depending on the actual date of the poem Beowulf, which we do not know with any real certainty, going all the way up to the middle of the 18th century, really ending just before the impact of the French Revolution near the end of that same century, which of course is where English 216 will pick up. So if you think about it, we've got about 1,000 years or so to deal with. Okay, that's a lot for 16 weeks, don't you think? So the first thing I want to just get off the table right now is the argument that we can cover everything. We cannot cover everything. Nobody could cover everything. Okay, not in a single semester. This is a introduction, really, to the time period, what we call a survey course. My goal, my hope, is to get you excited and interested about the various authors and the works that they've created, so that you may choose to study them more fully further down the road, particularly if you're an English major, right? And even if you're not, to at least get an element of appreciation for other works and authors and what they basically created and how it fits into essentially a cultural, historical, linguistic continuum, right, that has been going on for a long, long, long time. Okay, so as such, the class is divided into 4 major sections. The first major section is the Middle Ages. In the Middle Ages, you're going to see authors such as Geoffrey Chaucer. Well, that's the only author you're actually going to see, now that I think about it, because the other authors are unknown. Nobody really knows who wrote Beowulf, and nobody really knows who wrote Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. So we'll leave that as it is. The second period is the Elizabethan era, in which you get some of the people that you've probably heard of. A guy by the name of William Shakespeare, for example, right, shows up during this time period, as does his rival, Christopher Marlowe. We move into the 17th century, the time period basically after Shakespeare, right, with the very important author John Milton, and take into what's called the Restoration, which we'll be talking about what that means, what was restored actually. A king was restored onto the throne. The king was missing for about 20 years. He wasn't really missing, he was kind of kicked out, but that's a story we'll get to later. And then we'll finish with the Augustan age and end in the, as I said, in about the middle or late middle of the 18th century. Okay, so when people ask me the question, well, why aren't we reading this person or that work? It's because we simply don't have time to cover everything and everyone. Okay, and I try to make the syllabus as representative as possible of what I think are the major works and major authors. Certainly, as I said, works that are important in the tradition of English. And also, we have some opportunity this semester as well to read things that arguably might not be within a quote-unquote tradition, but are still something that may be important. And we're going to take a look at those as well. But again, let me repeat, can't cover everything. Now, with that caveat out of the way, here's a few things I'd like to talk about. First of all, please read the syllabus for the course. If you have not done so yet already, please make sure that you do so. Syllabus is, of course, attached on Canvas, and it has also been emailed to you. So everybody should have a copy of the syllabus. Please read it through. If you have any questions about anything in the syllabus, please contact me either through the email, which is on the syllabus, or through the Canvas inbox system. Those are the best two ways to get a hold of me. Please also get the textbooks as soon as possible. Now, with this class, there's obviously, how should I put this? These works are really old, and so a lot of them are in the public domain, if not all of them. Although sometimes with translations, they can be copyright protected. For instance, a translation of Beowulf would be copyright protected unless it was really, really old. Nevertheless, right, I am aware that you, as students, have multiple ways of getting the text, and I think that's very helpful for many of my students. However, I did assign the Norton Anthology English Literature to the text, to the class, because I believe these texts are the best. Okay, they are the best. They have the best notes, the best editorial support, and so on. So please keep that in mind when you're considering what you want to do. Now, if that's just simply financially impossible, I get it, right? And you can probably survive quite well without the text. But again, if this is, especially if you're an English major, I would highly encourage you to acquire the Norton Anthology. And I will be referencing, for instance, page numbers and things like that will go to the Norton Anthology, right? As well as other kinds of things. Office hours. Now, online classes such as this, most of my students are not able to come to office hours that I may hold on campus. Check the syllabus for that. If you're not able to come to my office hours that you'd like to speak to me, please get a hold of me and we can do a Zoom call at a mutually convenient time. Okay, so I don't want anybody to feel like, wow, they're just cast out and being ignored and all that. That is not the case, and I don't want you to feel that way. Another very important thing to pay attention to, which is in the syllabus, is grades. I mean, everybody wants to hear about grades, right? How am I going to be graded? Well, there's a discussion in the syllabus about the grades, but I can tell you just right now, there will be 4 essays that are due this semester, roughly 1 for each period. Well, not roughly, exactly, 1 for each period that I just labeled. These papers will be done in MLA format, as a good English paper should be. It will require some research, okay, some scholarly research is what I really want to emphasize, meaning peer-reviewed academic articles or works from University Press books, or even perhaps PhD dissertations. This would be different from some website written by somebody blogging under a pseudonym and just has an attitude about whatever. Okay, that's not academic research, right? We're going to do academic research in this class. In addition to those 4 essays, we are also going to every week of the semester have a discussion thread, and it will require actually 2 things from you. It will require an initial comment to the question, which is basically what you think and respond to whatever the question is for that week. And that'll be due on Wednesday of each week at 11:59 p.m. In other words, right before midnight. And then you have Thursday and Friday to write responses to 2 of the comments written by peers. So in other words, you write 1 piece, then you're going to read what other people have written, and you're going to respond to them. Okay, so those will happen every week of the semester. Okay, now I'm going to warn you right now, If you're the kind of person who's sort of just relying on the Canvas app, for instance, to tell you when due dates are, and you don't pay attention to anything until like right before something is due, that will not work, because there is no way for Canvas to show the Wednesday due date. So I'm telling you right now, today, as I've actually mentioned in the syllabus and mentioned in some letters that I've sent out to the class, 2 due dates each week. Okay. 2 due dates each week, one of which will be on a Wednesday, the second of which will be on a Friday, and this will happen semester. Okay. The discussion questions themselves will largely concern the works that we're working on. Okay. And in many weeks, I'll have multiple questions, and you can choose which of those questions you would like to pursue. Okay. So what happens is across a class, if I have, for instance, 3 different questions, I get people writing on question 1, other people writing on question 2, other people writing on question 3. So there's a lot of coverage. There's a lot of coverage potentially of the material in the class. And then you write responses. You can respond to people who wrote about the same thing you did, or you can write to people who wrote about something you did not. And that will expand on that too. Now, discussion threads are a huge part of the class. And I will just simply say, my A students and my B students, in other words, the ones who wind up at the end of the semester with the highest grades, tend to be the ones that are most consistently participating in the discussion threads. If you consistently fail to participate in the discussion threads, it's very hard to get a good grade in the class, even with the essays, all right? Because really, over the course of the semester, I think you put a lot more time working on the discussions than you do on the papers, but both are important, don't get me wrong, okay? So how do you do well in this class, an online class? Well, just some basic advice that I would give to almost anybody in any class. Do not procrastinate. Keep up with the work. This is especially important in an online environment because we don't meet. I'm not there to encourage you to do things. Your classmates are not there to encourage you or to be, models of saying, okay, yeah, I did this, I did that, which is the kind of thing that happens in a face-to-face environment that unfortunately doesn't happen online. So students have to be self-motivated. Right? You have to say, I'm not going to wait to the last minute to do my reading. I'm not going to wait to the last minute to do my essays. I'm not going to wait to the last minute to do my discussion threads. That's what you want to make sure you do. Right? So you have to be aware of due dates. You have to be working consistently. And last thing I would say, just in a very broad way, ask questions. Teachers for generations have said there's no such thing as a stupid question. The online environment, unfortunately, I think, makes it harder for students to ask questions than even in a face-to-face environment. Right? I can't tell you how often I've had students wait till class was over to ask me a question, which I wish they had asked in front of everybody because I'm sure other people had the same question. But in the online environment, there's even a bigger tendency for people to kind of, close up shop and not ask that question. And I can't do enough to encourage you, say, shoot me an email, send me a question on Canvas, come talk to me in my office if you can, or what's Zoom, right? Do not think that you cannot ask questions because this is an online class. Right? I really want you to be able to do that. I want you to feel comfortable reaching out and making this happen because asking questions is a huge, huge part of learning. Okay. And if that doesn't happen within the environment, learning suffers, and that is not what we want. So I'm looking forward to this semester online. I'm looking forward to teaching this material, which personally I love very, very much. And I hope to convey that to you as well. Take care and good luck.